Hope you guys can forgive in advance a little bit of a detour I'm going to take. I don't want to have the training camp portion of the year completely consume our conversations here. So hear me out. I'll tie them together. Trust me. Good morning to you. Good Thursday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into hockey and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates in the same place that you found this. The Steelers did go through a second day in pads yesterday at St. Vincent College, and they ended up making some headlines because Elandon Roberts pushed Justin Fields on a set run, and Mason McCormick took exception to that, and football players became football players and started pushing and shoving for a little bit, and then that was the end of that. But that always blows up in the headlines. It doesn't interest me much. I'm sorry. It just doesn't. I've seen a million of them. I'll see a million more, and every last one of them will have no lasting repercussions, okay? Here's what did interest me from yesterday's session. Deebo was in the house. James Harrison was working with the outside linebackers. There's been a lot of this at this camp, and I've been telling you about it. Mike Tomlin loves to have the players he's loved return to the fold and share what they know, share their wisdom, share their experiences, not just on the field, but off the field. Not just about football, but about being a Steeler. You've heard me talk about Troy Polamalu working with Minkah Fitzpatrick, about Ryan Shazier working with Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson. There's a lot more examples than that. But when Deebo's in the house, it's just a little bit different, you know? Talk about a larger-than-life presence. And on this day, Deebo was doing exactly what you would hope that he'd be doing because he spent the better part of his career rushing from the right side. Same side as Herbig, and he was teaching the kid, the move. You know which one I'm talking about. He gets under the offensive tackle's outside armpit, lifts the arm up as if to rip it from its socket, uses that as a de facto way to hold or pull the guy, albeit without drawing a flag, and then muscling under that armpit for a pretty much direct line to the quarterback. This was what TJ Watt had to say about that scene.
I think honestly is a great asset for any of us. It's a move that's very difficult to learn, but he's made so many sacks off of that one move that he has, and then a couple counters as well. So if Nick can be a young guy and try to learn from the James Harrison, the guy that's in the Hall of Famer, why wouldn't he try to soak up as much information as possible from him? And it's so cool that Deebo's willing to spend his time teaching his moves to us.
Did you hear that line in there? Did you hear that? That's what I want to talk about today. TJ just casually referred to Deebo as a Hall of Famer. He didn't mean Steelers Hall of Honor. Deebo's already in that. And these guys very much know the difference. He was referring to Canton. Deebo's had a couple of cracks already, hasn't gotten anywhere. And Deebo himself has dismissed, or for the most part, certainly he's significantly downplayed his chances of getting in large part because of his sack total. Sacks are a big, sexy stat in football, but they're also real. And they can work both for and against you because they can singularly define you, even if you're a more versatile player than that. Harrison ended up with 84.5 sacks. If you go over the amount of time that he spent as a starter in the NFL, and that only spanned 6 seasons, remarkably, he absolutely unequivocally should be in. Players with 100 or more almost always get in, even if that's the only thing they were good for. But Deebo, in that short time, managed to establish himself as a 5-time Pro Bowl participant, a 2-time All-Pro selection. He won 2 Super Bowls. He was the 2008 NFL Defensive Player of the Year. And I'm going to stop right there and remind you that that alone will put you in any conversation as it relates to Canton. It doesn't mean you'll make it by being a DPOY or, for that matter, an OPOY, although you got a lot better chance of that because you're a quarterback. It does mean that in one season, one full season, you were the best player in the world on your side of the football. That is not a small thing. There are players in all of the various halls of fame who don't ever ascend to being the best player in their respective sport, even at their position. And I'm going to say this respectfully, but at no point in Ben Roethlisberger's tremendous career was he ever considered to be, even by Pittsburghers, the best quarterback in the NFL. But he is the surest of sure first ballot Hall of Famers. Harrison was the best player at any position in the world on his side of the ball. And ultimately, the only thing that's going to hold him back, the only thing that's going to keep him out of the Hall is that he didn't start until age 29. Why was that? Was he not good enough? Did he not show enough? Did he not, work hard enough? I can't even say that with a straight face. No, none of that. All that happened was that he was playing behind Joey Porter the Elder, behind Jason Gilden, who just got elected into the Steelers Hall of Honor, behind Clark Hagan's a really reliable and underappreciated guy at that position. 4 years went by. Harrison didn't start. Finally got out there on a regular basis when he was 29. I'm saying it again because it's beyond belief that it happened, but it did. So he gives everything that he's got for those 6 years. He even stretches himself probably a year or so long with that whole escapade in going to the Patriots. So in essence, he gets punished, if that's the appropriate term, for being a Steeler. He gets punished for having shown up into an organization as an undrafted free agent, let's remind, that has always been known for its edge rushers. And for whatever reason, whether there were merits to it or not, he couldn't get on the field. Is that his fault? Is that a strike against him? Is that a reason to keep him out? Is late blooming in general something that should keep you out? I'm not equipped with that answer, but I am equipped with this, and I'll conclude with this point. The greatest play in the Steelers franchise history was not the Immaculate Reception. It was Harrison's interception in the Super Bowl. And I say that with no apologies to the Immaculate Reception, but a lot of apologies to another certain play later in that same game between Roethlisberger and Santonio Holmes. You and I can live to 100. We'll never see anyone else run 100 on an interception at the end of a half and create a 14-point swing heading into the intermission of a Super Bowl that would come down to the wire. Infinitely bigger game than the playoff against Oakland in 1972. Infinitely more challenging circumstance. 1 billion% about skill, toughness, and resilience, and zero luck, unlike the Immaculate Reception. And a singular testament to that individual, meaning to Harrison, who rose above, who transcended his position, wasn't just a guy collecting sacks. He was feared, became almost cartoon-like in his presence. Absolutely, unequivocally, in every way, a worthy Hall of Famer. When we come back, J1Q. This segment of Daily Shot is brought to you by our good friends at Mike's Beer Bar. They're located on Federal Street, directly across from PNC Park. Mike has more than 500 beers on tap, including from more than 50 local breweries. Stop in and say hello. Tell Mike we sent you. Mike's Beer Bar. And today's J1Q comes from Adam, and it's regarding Justin Fields, as I kind of expected there'd be a bunch of feedback from yesterday's episode on that subject. And yeah, that's kind of what happened. Adam asks, Fields really is a freak athlete, DK. The question is, can he complete 5 out of 5 for 78 yards in a minute and 50 seconds with no timeouts to win a game and carry a football team when necessary, I just don't know. I don't know either, Adam. I don't know. We know what the raw talent is, and we also know that the best possible setting in which to see and appreciate raw talent is a controlled setting. And that's what training camp is, especially the earliest stages of camp. We get to see how he throws a bomb to Van Jefferson. Why? Because things are just kind of set up that way. So you see the arm talent. You see the explosiveness. You see the running ability, the raw speed, the tool that he has with his legs that might be as good as anyone's in the NFL, with a respectful nod in the direction of Baltimore. You see, to put it in its crudest possible terminology, a human who can do things that other humans cannot. That's always intriguing. That's Usain Bolt on the track. That's Michael Phelps in the pool, Mike Tyson in the ring, Mario Lemieux in every walk of life. But again, just in that one category, meaning stuff that he can do, athletic stuff. But as you're very fair in pointing out, there's way more to the position, to that position, than running, jumping, throwing, and all that other stuff. And that's why, at least for my own purposes, when I'm watching Fields, and I'll be doing so again out in Latrobe later this morning, I'm not looking for those things. I'm looking for, hey, that wide receiver was his second or third option, and he was coming across the field, and the entire sequence required good decision, good timing, good awareness of the defense in front of him, a preemptive checking of where the safety might be, a thought given to down and distance, and as you say, the time on the clock. Quarterbacks have to think, it seems, about a million different things at once. And that's what Fields has to show. To be a franchise quarterback, and he, again, has all of the attributes that you'd want, the natural attributes. The mental part has to mature. It has to take root, and it, even more than all the stuff that you were born with, has to become the foundation of your game. We're not going to see that in the earliest stages of camp. I'm not going to see it today. We're not going to see it in the preseason, and not just because of our mutual agreement between this program and listeners to never again pay attention to preseason ball. He has to do it in real live regular season games. And we'll see if he even gets that chance. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Steelers. And I can't say this often enough. If you're out at Chuck Noll Field, you see a guy walking around in a DK Pittsburgh Sports t-shirt, looking like he's yet to have enough caffeine on the morning, feel free to say hi. Let's do this again tomorrow.